It's working, all right. My name's Tom DeMarcus, and I'm here to bring you great news. I knew that would quiet you down. There hasn't been any great news for a long time in our country and in the economy and whatever, but I want to tell you that you may think I've disappeared. I'm no longer on the board of leadership in Hellenic College, but I've not disappeared. I've worked for the last 15 years at Hellenic College, and I had the good fortune to run into Dr. Ann Bezarides, who had just received a grant from the Lilly Foundation to support Christian seminaries in the United States. And of course, being from Boston and being the cynic that I am, I was rather highly skeptical. And I have to say, over the last 12 or 13 years, I've been proven wrong. Dr. Bezarides is really a find. She's almost on a parallel with Paulette Poulos from Leadership 100. And that's the highest compliment I can give anybody. Paulette Poulos is the heart and soul of Leadership 100. We've had a lot of great presidents and a lot of great people helping, but she is the constant. If I call her at 12 o'clock at noon, she's in her office. And if I call her 6 o'clock at night, she's in her office. She runs a bigger and bigger organization every year with the same group of 3 or 4 women. She pinches her pennies like Scrooge McDuck. And she delivers value for the money that she has to spend. And I'm so proud of leadership and what it's been able to accomplish these last X amount of years, 15 years, I said ago. But we have a counterpart to Paulette, and that is Dr. Bezarides. She is terrific young woman. She has her doctorate, of course, as I said. That's why I'm calling her. She's married to a doctor, an actual doctor. She has 3 young boys, 8, 10, and 12. She's a dynamo. And my main job is to stay out of her way and not mess anything up and try to support her wherever I can. But I want to tell you something. She's running the most important program in the Archdiocese of America. She is developing a cadre of younger people who are going to infuse our parishes all over the United States with young kids. If you'll talk to every denomination in the United States, I read an article, there's somewhere between 100 and 190 churches a week. I didn't know there were that many churches closing in the United States for lack of support, lack of financial support, a lack of youth in the pews. I know in my own church, we have a beautiful building, a beautiful everything, iconography, spotlessly clean, and we have 75 to 100 people, and 65 of the 75 are in their 70s and 80s. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a recipe for disaster. That is happening in far too many parishes of all denominations around, not just the United States. In Europe, it's worse, if you can believe that. Well, my answer to that is Ann Bezarides. She and her, she has several women that she works with, young women, very bright, very dedicated. Women are so much better than men. And you're talking to a male chauvinist who never, ever, ever should utter those words. But the older I get, the more I get it. And without further ado, let me introduce you to Dr. Bezarides. Ann.
Thank you, Mr. DeMarcus. Your Eminence, your Eminences and Fathers, members, families, and guests, it's a joy to be with you. Paulette, you are my hero. Thank you for the gracious invitation to be here. Who do we want our children and grandchildren to be? Our professional culture often puts on us a default pressure of what we want them to be, often to the detriment of the who. Who do we want them to be? What values do we hope they will uphold? What are our best hopes for who they call their best friends or the people they marry? What is the essence, the joy, the beauty of life that we want to pass along? My guess is that these are the types of questions that propel you to join this important community, Leadership 100. The world gets more complex on a daily basis. Bringing together the incredible Hellenic heritage with its robust understanding of paideia and community, with the spiritual treasure trove of orthodoxy, allows this leadership community to hold on to something near and dear that we don't want to lose. I have had the extraordinary opportunity to have a professional career exploring these questions broadly from within our Greek Orthodox context. In 2003, Hellenic College Holy Cross received a game-changing grant from the Lilly Endowment to build new programs to help students explore their purpose and vocation, to help young people answer the who questions. I was 27, in the middle of doctoral studies at Boston College at the time, and wasn't looking for a job, but one piece of it especially excited me: the opportunity to start an academic high school summer program for Orthodox Christian kids. As a result of saying yes, I've been able to oversee the creation and expansion of that high school summer program, a new innovative program for young adults at parishes, and to teach youth and young adult ministry to future priests at our seminary. Let me tell you a little bit more about some of my personal story that motivates my commitment to this work. My father, Peter Mitsakos, grew up in the Greek community of Lowell, Massachusetts, and raised us in Weston, Massachusetts. My parents raised me with incredible family values, work ethic, and of course, faith. Church on Sunday was a part of our family routine. And my mother, Akseni, who became Orthodox, really adopted everything of the faith. She even helped run a vacation church school at Hellenic College Holy Cross during summers. When I was in 8th grade, a friend invited me to go to a Protestant overnight camp with her for 2 weeks. It turns out this camp was the camp for well-to-do Protestant families of the Northeast. Beautiful acres of prime real estate on Lake Winnipesaukee, it was meticulously run by people who selected excellent summer staff. It was my first experience meeting young people who were engaged in conversations about God and faith. My experience at the Greek Orthodox Church so far had been of adults talking at us in Sunday school while we squirmed in our chairs and tried not to be called on. I went to this Protestant camp for 2 summers and then switched to other camps. The second summer, my brother went and he met some great friends and kept going. A year or 2 later, our little sister joined him, and she loved it even more than he did. 2 things happened in them that greatly shaped the trajectories of their lives. My brother, at age 16, was part of their advanced camper program. My brother is bright, and he had tough questions for the counselors about God, about faith, about humanity. Questions that the counselors could not answer well. They had simple, trite answers for complex questions. Answers that revealed the legacy of their Protestant forebears in this country, sinners in the hands of an angry God. I remember Billy coming home that summer and telling me how he felt the answers that the camp had to his hard questions were so lame. At the time, I didn't know what to say or how to respond. My brain didn't go where his went. I didn't realize that that stage was a turning point for my brother, that it is a critical stage in development. To this day, for my brother, now married with 2 kids, Christianity and the church is off his radar. My sister had the opposite experience. She loved this camp. She spent every summer there and served as a counselor. Her cohort of friends was a good group, and those friendships kept her afloat when her home and college sorority friendships were more tenuous. They were quality people. One of them was actually a great niece of George Bush, and on one camp break, she went with her peers for a soak in the Bush's hot tub in Kennebunkport while Barbara did laps in her pool with a snorkel. In my sister's last year as a counselor, she met her future husband. Isaac is a wonderful person. It was pretty much love at first sight. In large part as a result of this camp, my sister and her husband are both people of deep Christian faith, and they worship now and had their kids baptized in an Anglican church, which most resembles what they knew at camp. My sister would say she misses Holy Week and Pascha most in the Orthodox Church, but what their Anglican church can offer by way of community is, quite honestly, incredible. As my own life unfolded, I experienced the early years of our Greek Orthodox Boston Metropolis camp. There, I was moved by a much richer and deeper theological understanding of God that was absent from the Protestant camp. There was a reverence and richness in the Orthodox approach to God, all the while an earnestness to feel his presence and have him near us in a way that wasn't a feel-good pep talk, but allowed me to come to know my true self as I began to know the true God. I began to read Orthodox books that nourished my brain, deepened my understanding of humanity, while they nourished my heart and soul. Meanwhile, I was struggling with what to do with my life. As part of my undergraduate studies at Middlebury College, I was trained and certified to teach in Vermont public high schools. And it was the experience of seeing students struggling with their meaning and purpose, with identity and self-doubt, with crystal meth and abuse, that led me to want to study how our Orthodox Christian theological tradition could give people a life anchor. So jump ahead to me at age 27. At that point, I'd made decisions that had allowed me to study Orthodox theology after college, so that the idea that there were funds to start an Orthodox high school summer program was too hard to turn down. It was the opportunity to weave together so much that had emerged throughout my life as important. A place where bright young people like my brother, could come and get good responses to their hardest questions, a kind of AP theology. A place where incredible young people could meet one another and form friendships that would become their most important relationships, the way my sister did. And a place that would combine our beautiful Orthodox theology with an American academic summer experience in a way that invites students to know their own ultimate meaning and purpose. This program could be a needed supplement to our incredible Metropolis camps and Ionian Village, expanding the ecosystem of Orthodox ministry for our kids. We developed it in a way to be a kind of transition program for both college and for life. The Crossroads Summer Institute was begun in 2004. By 2007, it had so many applicants that Mr. Demakis said we must double in size. So we did. Around the same time, a young alumna said, we need a way for alumni to reconnect. And so we started an annual alumni retreat and newsletter. A few years later, the same alumna said, we need a Crossroad alumni board. And so she started that. And then she said, you need scholarship funds for Crossroads students. And she started that. I could talk to you for hours about the program and its impact, but instead I will play a short 2-minute video of the program, and then I'll have the alumna I just mentioned, Michelle, our first Crossroad alumni who is just joining Leadership 100, tell you a couple of words about the program, what the program meant to her. So the video, please.
Community that gives people permission to be who they really are.
Three things that are important. 3 things that we should all have. And those things are faith, hope, and love. But I think all of us have this question of what it means to actually be alive with a capital A. And Crossroad is a program that invites and challenges high school juniors and seniors to consider this question of what does it mean to be fully alive.
We get to talk about what we're going through. Like, we can share our personal stories and not have to worry about people judging us for it.
There is no way we can be separate from God. It is impossible.
Treat people like human beings and don't not see them.
Super excited. You can feel the energy because it just keeps getting better.
They really get a sense for seeing themselves down the line and how Crossroad is going to continue to be important to them.
It's going to change the rest of my life. There's nothing you can compare to this.
You can break out of your shell and feel a kind of freedom.
Is this better? Can you guys hear in the back now? Okay. So first of all, good morning. No. Is this better? Okay, good. Okay. First of all, thank you. I did not expect for my first session at Leadership 100 to be speaking to you all. A little bit of initiation. But what I wanted to say is, as someone who went through the Crossroad program, it can be hard when you're in the middle of it to really think about how can 10 days change my life. I'm 15 years out of the program, and it has. Crossroad gave me the ability to think about tough questions. Who I am, who do I want to be in my family, in the workplace, in my church, and give me the foundation to start to wrestle with those questions. It did not give me the answers. I'm still trying to figure some of it out, as I assume many of you are. But it also gave me the friendships. Before I went to Crossroad, I wasn't necessarily very involved in church. My family wasn't going to church every Sunday. Yaya would take me for Holy Week services, and it was beautiful, but I didn't have a connection with God. And I met Orthodox friends who would support me, friends who would, when you call, wouldn't give those trite answers. They would pray for you and actually mean it. So as we look into the future of our church, and you start to see more faces like mine at Leadership 100 on your parish councils, you want them to be trained in being able to grapple with these questions so that they can help those who follow them and also help each other and you guys to really question why we are here, why we are doing what we're doing, and how can we do it better.
Thank you, Michelle. So our story is not over, and this is the cool part. It cannot end with Crossroad because, quite simply, we love our alumni and we want to stay in touch with them. So one of my questions was, how do we sustain and expand this work? In 2016, I was at a Lilly Endowment conference and sat down with the VP of the Religion Division, who at this point I'd known for almost 15 years. I said, Chris, look what your seed funding has enabled us to do. I showed him pictures and I told him stories. Is there another grant we should be applying for? About 2 weeks later, I received a call from the endowment, and what came from that call was the invitation to participate in an experiment of sorts. How could congregations help nurture the spiritual and religious lives of 20-something millennials? Would we be interested in being an innovation hub to help parishes build relationships with young adults and pilot new ministries for and with them? They were seeing 20-year-olds totally missing from the pews of American religion. Was there something that could be done? My response was an enthusiastic yes. We'd been seeing the need to get alumni more connected in their local parishes, and that too often parishes didn't know how to support and engage them. So through the grant, we were able to invite parishes to apply to be a part of this process, and there are now 14 across the country. You have the map on the handout at your table. The project is called the Telos Project, drawing on the Greek word telos, or end goal, because it's trying to focus both young people and parishes on their ultimate ends. What is our collective purpose here? Your handout has some of what the parishes are doing, but way more important than the new activities is what the teams at each parish are learning about the process of engaging young adults. It turns out, when communities explore their purpose and vision together and do it in such a way that allows them to mentor young adults into leadership roles, extraordinary things happen. It challenges us to develop the habit of attention to raising our young people in the faith. The who questions, then, are not just about us and our particular biological kids, but about all our kids and grandkids. They are all our kids. They are all our children. Who do we, as a whole Greek Orthodox church and community, want to be in the United States in the 21st century? Developing our habit of attention to this changes our mindset. I now realize that if a 20-something makes it to liturgy on Sunday, it's a miracle, and I need to find out their story. What brings them in, and what do they need from us? Being attentive to the needs of our young people then, I believe, energizes us to become our best selves as people and as parishes. I realize I am a rare bird, a laywoman doing this work. I'm not married to a priest, but rather a pediatric cardiologist. As Mr. Demakis mentioned, we have 3 boys, and our eldest once said to me, "Oh, I get it. Dad works on kids' hearts, and you work on their souls." Here's the thing, and this is the point of my sharing my personal story. I don't want to be a rare bird. We need new generations of leaders who are going to take on leadership roles, and to get there in our incredibly complex world, we all need to dig in and be foot soldiers. They are all our kids, and when we focus on this, it changes us. No one understands this better than Helen Carlos, and so I've asked Helen to say a few words now, and then I would love to open the floor for your conversation and questions. Helen.
Thank you, Anne. Good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me? I just wanted to say a few words because I actually have participated as an older person, of course, in the Crossroad ministry. And about, it was probably 7 or 8 years ago, I asked Anne if I could come up for a day and just, participate but witness what this ministry was all about. And I will tell you, it is their program is not for the slower group because I was exhausted after an 8-hour day with these folks. But it was the most transforming day. It gave you the most hope in the future of our church to watch these kids interact and really dig deep beneath themselves to find out how they were supposed to lead their lives in the church, whether serving specifically in the church or in another vocation, but still serving the church. So I was very blessed to be able to do that. We actually did have a couple of trustee days at Crossroad where we had some really great participation. My sweet husband, who goes everywhere, was there, and George Alex also came and witnessed the program. But I will tell you, last year was the first session in Chicago. And Ann and I had talked, and I said, I would like to go because I was very curious to see how the ministry would work outside of the campus of Brookline. And truth be told, I was a bit raw last summer, and I almost didn't come. But I'd made the commitment. Y'all know I'm a crier. I do it every time. But I'd made the commitment, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go. It's really not fair to not go. And I will tell you, it fed my soul like nothing ever has. I was so grateful that I went. The kids were very sweet, and they were thanking me, and Ann's team was thanking me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm thanking you because you have brought me back to a place I needed to be. And we went to an Antiochian church, and just to watch them observe, it was, I almost can't put it into words. It was such a blessing to me. So I do invite you, check with Ann and the team or myself. If you'd like to attend a day at Crossroad, it's a transformative experience. Please encourage your young people to apply. We hope to, like Mr. Demakis said, we like to move it into some more communities, and God willing, that's what we'll do. But I just wanted to thank you and to encourage you to really find out about this ministry, participate if you like, support it, and get involved. Thank you.
Now I would love to take any feedback or questions that you may have.